And we are live. Happy Thursday, everybody. We are here tonight with the one, the only Isaac Anderson, who writes right-sized books, not, you know, door stoppers. I very much appreciate that.
Little tiny ones.
See, there you go. It
This
can be
one's a
done.
little bit bigger.
I mean, that's one chapter for Tim McKay's book.
This might be
Um,
half a chapter, actually.
so
Do you do
anyway,
that on purpose, or I mean, is that like a marketing thing for you, or just a size
Um,
story you're writing?
it's just the way that I work. I am very, very particular and a bit of a perfectionist. So, Song of Bones is really it is Tim McKay sized, but to get it edited and finished, I had to chop it up to where I can actually focus on just one part. So when everything is out, it'll be a giant thing, but I'm releasing them as little bitty tiny guys.
And that's the one that is being released next Friday, the 4th of October.
4th of October.
Yeah,
and
Tim M wants you to hold it up a little bit longer.
Oh, okay, sure. Here it is. Oh, you mean the other one? Oh, okay, yeah. The Fall of Salandria. Selvandria.
which is actually launching today.
It launched today. Yeah. I've been seeing all
Oh,
the
right.
stuff.
Very cool.
Happy
And
launch day, Tim.
He is not yours. Well, he
Oh,
was just
yeah.
being nice. I mean, his doesn't launch for another week and a half. Yours goes today, man.
Yeah, dude. So I still don't have one that doesn't have this ugly enough resale thing. The previous cover had some darkness issues. Like this is a little bit dark, and the back had a design you can't really see. But I was hoping to have the hardcovers here by today, but it just shipped now. So I was hoping to have that ready to show up. I don't quite have everything quite ready, but by the 4th, everything will be ready.
so I just want to tell you that if I post on Twitter that, hey, I want a signed hard copy of your book, I'm being serious. I did that today, and some person who's in the comments here just liked my comment and didn't tell me how to get a signed book of the Fall of Salandria.
Well,
So,
as of today, you can go to norlandpress.com and pre-order a signed copy. The only place to
okay.
get signed copies of Song of Bones is on norlandpress.com.
Is this the book you got coming out? Does it have anything to do with the garden?
No, this is a separate story. Um,
Okay.
the next garden book might have some Song of Bone characters in it in kind of a weird way, but I'll leave that for people to find out. But you do not need to know Garden Maze to read Song of Bones. Garden Maze is your classic fantasy kind of thing. Knight and a squire get lost in a cursed hedge maze. And A Song of Bones is more along the lines of Brian Jakes, who writes animals in the woods all trying to kill each other. And this one is about a bunch of mice living underground who've never been outside before. They've been forced to dig their entire lives, and they want to escape.
Who's forcing him to dig?
The rats. The rats are
Oh,
forced them to
those
dig.
damn rats. It's always the frickin' rats.
So have you ever seen The Secret of Nim?
Oh, yeah, I've seen The Secret of Nim.
Okay, good.
Secret of Nim is the next garden maze will. The next garden maze will feature Song of Bone. Well, the character in the next garden maze is from the Song of Bones world. There are actually, I think, two of them, but they do not appear in Song of Bones. But they're in that same world.
I'm gonna make a. I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't think I've ever seen Secret of Nim.
What?
It's pretty good. It's a
Oh my
classic.
god. Yeah.
Yeah. In
I mean, I remember like seeing the ads for it, right, and the previews for it and all that, but I don't know that I've ever actually seen it.
Yeah, in the 80s, Don Bluth, working at Disney, was sick and tired of the normal Disney stuff. Disney was doing just safe things. And I'm not talking about story, I'm talking about animation. So he had a question. In Fantasia, there was an effect that did with this waterfall. He thought that was really cool. And so he went to some of the older guys and he says, how did you guys do that back then? And the guy's like, I don't really remember how we did that. No one wrote it down. And Bluth was like, I want to kind of stretch animation. I don't want to keep doing the safe thing. I want to experiment with styles and things. And they basically told him to go kick rocks. So he left with a couple of his friends and he made Secret of NIMH in his garage.
Cool.
And then Disney bought it back at some point later, I'm assuming?
No, Disney did not.
Really? Because usually that's what they do.
NIMH beat the Disney film that came out. I forget which film it was. But the next Bluth movie, well, maybe I don't remember. I don't know the exact details, but when Bluth released All Dogs Go to Heaven, Little Mermaid came out at the same time, and Little Mermaid trounced it, and they never really recovered after that.
Tim Wolf said it was like Homeward Bound with anime rats. Homeward Bound, that was like a dog, right?
Homeward, isn't that when the pets get lost and they got to get back home?
Oh, yeah, I don't think I've seen that one either. All right. Movies and animals, I don't know what it is.
They work.
Books with animals, okay. Movies with animal. Tell me Air Bud works.
For kids, it works very well. It is
Oh, okay,
cracked
for
to children.
kids. All right.
Writing animals is great because you cannot get a better underdog than a mouse. They're the smallest, weakest, wimpiest little things. You're instantly rooting for them.
No, that doesn't always hold because, like, Mickey Mouse is a dick, right?
Well, Mickey Mouse isn't an underdog. He's a mouse.
And Jerry's an asshat. I hate Jerry. Right?
Well, mice have the potential to become great underdogs. Probably the best example of Secret of NIMH. Mrs. Brisby in that movie she has absolutely nothing going for her. She's the weakest person in the film. And she fails and fails and fails and finally wins. And it's very cathartic.
All right. Well, what I'm doing, getting up from my thing, is I'm going over to my TV and I'm going to search where I can find Secret of NIMH. And I will give that to myself as a homework assignment.
You can probably find it free on Amazon, honestly.
Well, I'm going to find out where it's going to be free.
So I just want to point out that at the 4-minute mark, we already stopped talking about your book and went on a Secret of NIMH.
Secret of NIMH is
this is the second time Secret of NIMH has come up in 2 weeks. So
El Montague saying An American Tale, which is another animal movie.
Yeah, that's Fievel. That's all right. Fievel's okay.
Never seen it.
American Tale's good. That one made me incredibly sad as a child. I watched that. I was devastated. That was
there are
so
no rats
sad.
in America.
Yeah, they lied.
Okay.
That's not true.
All right, lots of options.
Okay, so A Song of Bones is NIMH adjacent.
Yes. That becomes more clear as you get further into the series.
So obviously I haven't read Song of Bones. I have started reading The Garden, and I really like it. It's one of those books I sit there and go, how the hell do people come up with this?
Well, I don't remember where I came up with it. It was I had a list of things. I sat down and said, what were the stories that I wanted to find in the library? And one of the things I came up with was I wanted a story of a knight getting lost in a hedge maze. And that's all I had. And I sat on that for maybe 2 years. And when I came back to it, I wanted to start. So I was in the middle of Song of Bones in the weeds. I was deep into what will be the third part. And it was just, there's so much going on. It had just exploded in scope, and I was very overwhelmed. So I wanted to take a break, and I wanted to write something small. So I wanted to write just a short story, basically. And I wanted to pick a story. Let me back up. I wanted to make a world where I can jump to any part of it and find a story. And that world I called Norland. And when I was writing ideas for New Orleans stories, up north, this is what this problem is. Down south, they have this problem. And each part of the map would be a different kind of conflict, different kind of character, different kind of story. And I started writing what would become the next Garden Maze book, but it wasn't working. And I remembered the night in the maze, and I asked myself how we got there. And I wrote the short story, which was basically the first half of the Garden Maze. And I showed that to my family. They got very mad at me. Like, what? You can't end it there. And so I wrote another
That's
short
a good
story.
mad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good mad. So I wrote another short story that was the next part. So if you've read The Garden Maze, there's a point in the middle where it feels like it kind of ends a little bit. And then the next chapter happens. That's kind of the cut where the two short stories combine. And I'm curious to see how obvious that is to people.
I would say don't bring it up. Yeah, they don't need to know.
Yeah, for EL's comment, each of the challenges in the Garden Maze is inventive and says something about humanity. Each challenge, each obstacle I put in their way, I built specifically for the character. So the knight is all about, he's very full of himself. So the Garden Maze tries to feed that. It feeds his pride, feeds his ego, and every single challenge he comes across, he's given opportunity to swallow his pride, swallow his ego, but he doesn't. So things just get worse. And then when it goes to the second half, switches to the squire, is more of the main character. His issue is he has bit trust issues, and that's understandable. Handing out with the knight all the time. So all of his challenges are about trust. Yes, he is very ignorant.
Oh man, now I know what the name of our channel should have been.
What?
Read L. Montague's comment.
The ignorant ass?
I mean, people tune in to see if we were truly that way or not. And Tim, thank you for chiming in.
Yeah, but that's a yes or no question. People would just say, yeah, okay, that riddle is solved. Let's move on.
And then they'd wonder why the guest sticks around for the whole hour.
It's fun.
So what's the beverage tonight there, Isaac?
I'm drinking a coconut LaCroix.
Oh, La Croix. It's La
LaCroix.
Croix, darling. La Croix.
It's very nice. It's a coconut LaCroix.
So I have a non-book related question that I'm just dying to ask you.
Ask me the question, yes.
We've covered this before on the show, but I want to hear your take. And the question is, Oreo Coke, yes or no?
I would not touch it.
Good.
I would not touch that.
There is only one drink that is sold for general consumption that is worse, and that's Moxie.
Moxie. Not
It's-
Tab.
Moxie is, I think it's a New England thing. Made, invented back in the day when all they had was molasses to make stuff out of. I don't know, but it's freaking liquid rat poison. It's absolutely disgusting. But there are people who drink it and just go and absolutely love it, and it's horrible.
So when someone says that person has Moxie, when they have grit and stuff, that's where it comes from?
I mean, it's Moxie. That's how it's spelled, right? Yeah. But yeah, it's popular in the 50s, exactly, back when they made stuff out of molasses and whatever. But now in like 2010, I had a kid at the college where I was teaching, and he loved that stuff. He just thought that was the best stuff ever, and it was horrible. Oreo Coke Zero is, I don't want to say it's a close second, but it's second.
Okay. Well, every
But
single
Try one.
every little area needs its own haggis.
Yeah. You should try one. Spend the $2.50, and I think it's a limited edition, so go out and get one and try it.
Okay.
And smell it first. It smells like Oreo. It's a good start.
Is it going to
But-
hurt me?
Well, I was going to say you spend $5 and get 2 drinks. So if you try the Oreo and you throw it
Yeah.
away, you have something to
That's-
get rid of the taste.
Well, I need to try it at least 3 times to decide if I like it.
No, you
The
don't. You
first
won't.
time I might be in such denial.
You
I
know what
wouldn't
an
even
Oreo
accept it.
tastes like, right?
Yeah, Oreos. Yeah.
And you know what Coke tastes like.
Yes.
Now imagine those two together.
Yeah, I've never been tempted to smash up an Oreo and put it in my Coke.
And this is why.
Milk, yes, but Coke, no.
So you can imagine what it's going to taste like, and it tastes exactly like how you would imagine it to. So
It doesn't. I'm not imagining anything good.
you EL's had I've never eaten haggis. I don't know why one would.
If you live on a tiny island and you don't really like yourself.
Why is everything so buzzy right now? Hang on. Is it buzzy for you?
Haggis.
Oh, there we go. It's gone. I bet this cord is messed up somewhere.
So what do you do in real life?
In real life, me and my family, we run a little business called Inkbird. We build websites and apps.
Oh, nice. Have you gotten into building websites for the indie author community?
I made mine. So,
What's your website called?
norlandpress.com.
Norland?
Yep, Norland.
Where did Norland come from?
Norland is where everyone lives in
Yeah.
the garden maze.
But where did you get that? Why did you call it Norland? Is there anything
Because
behind that?
Norland doesn't exist. It's no land. It's a made up place. It's Norland.
Oh, land, not Lind. All right. So is this something that you would be willing to do for people?
Yeah. So I sat down and I said, I need a site, website builders. I'm more of the I do a little bit of design, I do organization and stuff. And my dad and my brother, they do a lot of coding. So we sat down and we said, what kind of site do I need? And we said, well, what does everyone need? And so we kind of built the site from the perspective of collaboration. So if a bunch of authors want to get together and have their own Amazon, this is what that is.
Nice.
It has secure login. It has secure users to come on and join, like the newsletter. You got to give your email, and you got to sign in through either Twitter or Google. And we're working on getting Facebook working too and other places. So it's basically when you sign in somewhere, as a sign in with Google instead of making an account, you can do that with this website. It holds all the books. It holds the checkout. It handles all that through Stripe, and it has even a little book funnel feature where as soon as you buy an ebook, it gives you a prompt. It sends it straight to your Kindle, and you're good to go.
So is this something that you've been working on for a long time, or is it fairly new?
It's new as in like the last 40 days. We literally got it up and running 10 minutes before I got on here.
All right, okay.
So we were down to the wire.
So
And if you-
that's your job now, is that?
It's a small part of it.
Okay.
We're still not ready to sell it right now. We have a few things we're working on still. I mean, when you go there, be gentle. There still might be a few bugs. If you try to buy or pre-order the Garden Maze right now, I believe it'll charge your card and it'll log you into our system. So we'll have to go through anyone who buys off the site and make sure everyone gets their stuff. So right now, I would like that to be a little bit more automatic when we get other users on it, if people want to get on it. But right now, if you want to go Norland right now, I have a free short story called Whiteout. You can go right now, you can log in, you can get your copy delivered to your Kindle.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. So how did you get started writing then? How long have you been doing that?
A little over maybe 16 years, maybe. I started writing Song of Bones a little over 10 years ago. This is the first real project. I had written little tiny things, started and stopped, little fantasy ideas, but Song of Bones was the first one that really stuck with me. So I wanted to actually get serious with something, and I was torn between writing my my Redwall adjacent idea, and then I had a Star Wars adjacent idea. And of the two, EL's been banned.
Who had 20 minutes?
He got banned. Everyone pass out your money, I guess, for the betting. And I thought that I actually started the sci-fi one first. I got pretty far into it. It was working, but it scared me to death to work on it because I felt way in over my head. Like I wasn't quite ready to write that. So I kind of shelved that. I went back to the animals because I figured, that'd be way less research because they're animals. I can make up whatever I want. Right. So I still had to do some research, unfortunately. But yeah, it kind of snowballed from there. Like I said before, the idea kind of ballooned a lot. It started really, really simple. I wanted to do a little escape story where they escape this place and they go out into the woods and have to survive the woods and go find help. So, and that became much larger. My little cast of like 4 characters became 16 characters and they all wanted attention. And about 6 or 7 years into that, I had an embarrassing amount written and it was just too much. It was way too much. I mean, my target audience is not going to read something this thick.
Yay.
Yeah. I can't write a Stephen King length kids book. It's not going to work. So that's when I took my break, did Garden Maze. I proved to myself I can finish something, get it to the finish line, get it published, get people to buy it. So then I jumped back into the Song of Bones world, and I chopped up things mercilessly. I combined characters, I deleted characters, deleted entire plot points, deleted entire ideas. I said, you can go to the next book, you can go to something else, you're a bad idea, go away. Yeah, worked through all that.
So, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, so you were doing this then as a teenager, you were starting this out.
Yeah, I started, I think, at like 17 or 17 or 18, I think is when I really started.
What were you doing at 17 or 18, Mike?
I was watching Secret of Nim.
You're a dick.
Secret of Nim.
Thank you for that.
Set him up.
Isaac, where are you calling from?
Miami.
You still have power. That's nice.
Oh yeah, it went right over us.
Okay, so it's already past you guys.
Yeah, it's going more north. I've only been here a year in Miami, and so far every single big storm has missed us because we're so far down south. Everything kind of zips on by. So I'm kind of looking forward to my first actual hurricane, but it hasn't happened yet.
I understand that.
Why you'd want to look forward to that. So yeah, they're saying up here where we are, where I am, is they could have that this thing is just going to come up and kind of like the mountains are going to stop it.
Right.
And they said, flooding like once in a eon kind of flooding. So
yeah, that's
looking forward to that.
That's no good.
So fun fact, when I was in Florida, I was actually in the eye of a hurricane.
Oh, wow.
Which was really kind of cool because it hadn't been there long, and I was like, okay, it sounds like the rain's over. It's a tropical storm by the time it got to us. So I was like, okay, let me go out. I'm like, man, this is kind of nice. I'm like, the wind was coming from the right. I'm like, oh, now it's coming from the left. I'm like, wait a second. Something. I'm like, oh, I was in the eye. So I had to run back inside. It's very cold rain because it's coming from high up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Weather's cool.
So has the Garden Maze done pretty well for you? Have you kind of cracked the code on getting the word out about that you can use to set up your launch next week?
And how do we do it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
So Guard Maze has done fine, I guess. I think I've sold, 100 copies since it launched 2 years ago. So I think that's acceptable for a normal indie. I'm expecting Song of Bones to be a little bit easier to market because it's so unique. It kind of fits in that niche of the Redwall kind of stories and, more YA stuff. And the cover helps a lot. My brother, Josh, he did an amazing cover. I wish that bar wasn't there so you could see it in all its glory. Inside, I got an illustration for every chapter. My sister did those.
That's really handy when, you and your wife do websites and your brothers and sisters are artists. Not everybody has that squared away quite like that.
Well, I don't have a wife yet.
Huh. So
Okay.
I was just going to say, my brothers do nothing but complain. I'm the cheerful one.
Oh my God. I could just imagine Christmas at your house.
So I for the launch for Song of Bones, my plan is, I've been doing okay on Twitter. I've been trying to do over the last year a little bit more Twitter. I'm getting more followers, and I think some of them are real. So that's helpful. And I'm trying to join more podcasts like this and join more groups and just get to know people in the community a little bit more. Having an actual book has helped that. And then I'm going to try to really dive into Amazon ads for Song of Bones. So I did some ads in the beginning for Garden Maze, and it did okay. I broke even.
Oh, wow.
With the ads
That's
sometimes.
great.
Other times.
Yeah, actually, that's a win, yeah.
So I'm hoping I can exceed expectations with this one.
So I'll tell you how you know you've made it.
Okay.
And that'll be when the day you launch your book, you end up showing up on the Beard of Darkness for a book launch. That's how you know that you've made it and you are the real thing in
When
the
you get on
Twitterverse.
Bearded Darkness.
Well, yeah, not here, obviously.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there's somebody tonight at 8:30 is going to be on Beard of Darkness. So,
Yeah. Someone's going to be on that show. It's going to be nuts, man. I hear
Who could it be? Who is it? Who
Other
is it?
people are going to be on that show too.
Wow.
Who's going to be on Beard of Darkness, Mike?
I don't know. It is a mystery.
It's a big mystery. So, Tim, to get followers, you need to find people and bump into them and say, "Where are you going?" And then it goes well or it doesn't.
I'm just running.
I felt like running.
All Tim's followers are, females who have like a name followed by 8 numbers and, 16 followers, and they started their account last week.
Yeah, I have a lot of those.
Oh, he has like 10,000 of those then. So,
Tim's doing good. Whenever he tweets, he gets usually around 15 to 20 comments on there. That's pretty good.
I am amazed at his ability to make an inane comment and get people who actually hate him and just get them really all fired up. I mean, I've never seen anyone able to do that other than Tim.
I'm pretty sure you could do it if you put your mind to it, Mike.
You probably could. I need to be braver. Whenever I see a post that really annoys me, I think, "Oh, I want to say something to that person," but I don't.
Yeah, right. There is that kind of like, do I want to be that guy? And I have typed many responses and then just kind of slowly deleted them afterwards because it's like, what's the point of doing that,
Yeah.
And the other Tim is dreaming of sex bots.
No,
Yeah.
he has a fairly good point, right? I mean, you should send a couple a copy.
I bet
Just ask for their physical address.
All they need is your social, and then they'll buy as many as you want.
So
With your money.
I have a pressing question for you, Isaac.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Is the Sandboni going to make an appearance in your world?
Okay.
It will. It's in the next Garden Maze story.
Awesome.
It may not be called the Samboni because it doesn't quite fit with the world, but it will be that creature.
So I will tell you that I talked to Dimitri, the guy who does my artwork, and I'm like, hey, these are like 4 people making this. Do you care if I like share the thing and let them use the graphic if they want? And he's like, sure. I mean, basically, he's like, I'm in Poland. What am I going to do? So he's like, absolutely. So if you'd like that artwork, the creature or the creature in the background, both, let me know.
Okay, I will. Yeah,
I can hook you up.
Fucking Samboni.
The Samboni is a beautiful creature of light and happiness. It's very angry and very small, but deep inside its soul, there is a nugget of gold it got from a tooth.
That's just. Sorry, I have to. My daughter's texting me. Sorry.
So,
whatever.
Isaac, you said you've been in Miami for about a year.
Yeah.
Where were you at before then?
I was in Duncan, Oklahoma. Cowtown.
Why?
So I don't.
That's just where we were.
See, when I was talking to you, I was like, this guy lives in Texas. He's definitely a Texan.
I was born in Texas.
Okay. I probably heard that and forgot it because that's, how my mind doesn't work. But. Okay.
So you left Texas for Oklahoma. It's kind of like dipping your toe into the water of the wider world. And
well,
then you were there for a while and you just said, screw it, and just dove headfirst into the shallow end that is Florida.
Yeah, so we lived in Texas for the first maybe 4 years of my life, then went to Oklahoma for a couple of years, then came back to Texas, lived there till I was 14, 15. Then we went to South Carolina, got in the granite business. Then the housing market crashed, and we're like, oh, crap.
How do you just casually get into the granite business?
Well, my dad has always done websites for people.
Okay.
And in Texas, he had a group, and he was building websites. And one group came to him, like, we need a site for our granite business. So he built that site, and they kind of became friends. And like, well, we kind of need a partner over here if you want to come over here and partner with us. I'm like, great. So we kind of jumped into that and kind of got in over our heads a little bit. Some of the business partners were less than safe, I guess. They were a little bit mafia-like. So when the housing market crashed, we were like, well, we can't stay in this town. We got to leave right away. So he got a job offer actually randomly from an old friend who was doing software stuff in Oklahoma. When we first lived in Oklahoma, that's what Dad was doing, is building software for him. If you get a ticket in Oklahoma, my dad helped write that system. So we went back to Oklahoma and plugged in, bought a farm. All of us worked on the farm. We had animals. We had cows and chickens and horses and
So your dad's one of those guys who's just like, yeah, I want to give this a shot and see what happens, and just
we'll see
tries
what happens.
anything.
We'll have 200 cows. We'll see how it goes. As he's building websites and developing things for the Oklahoma government. So yeah, after that, we started our own little business. Dad kind of retired from working for the company there, and we kind of started building our own thing. And we wanted to go where the tech is. We want to get more business, so we moved here to Miami.
Nice. So, are you a college football fan?
I'm aware it exists.
Oh, okay.
I know that there are teams and they play at certain times, and sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, and people get real into that. And I know in Oklahoma it was OU and the other one. I don't remember what the other one was right now.
Okie
Give me a
State.
minute, I'll probably remember.
So when Texas and Oklahoma play in the Red River rivalry, you don't care?
Not real. I like the Longhorns because they had a better name than with the other one. Because they had a big cow with big old horns. I like that.
Okay, well.
That was exactly my introduction to football. I was stationed in England, and we'd be in the dorms because we were in the Air Force. We had dorms, not barracks, because that's how we
Oh,
roll.
that's
And
important.
we watching football, and people be betting or whatever. And then one day I finally said, "What the hell does 3rd and 10 mean?" You know? And they're like, "How the hell are you doing?" It's like I just go by whoever has the coolest helmet. I know nothing about this game. So I totally hear where you're coming from, Isaac.
And now you're a Patriots fan.
Oh, the
Well,
Patriots,
I kind
man.
of was then too because I'm from New England, man.
I can't stand them Patriots with their mascot that is a thing and the colors they have and that player and that coach.
So
You don't like red, white, and blue?
Oh, I can't stand those colors.
So, Ro, I don't want to make too much fun of you because my
No,
team,
please go ahead.
when I
I'm
watched
married with kids, man. Have at it.
when I used to watch the NFL, my favorite team was the Dolphins because I like the colors.
Dolphins,
you
that's
go.
here.
Yep.
I know that.
But,
Yeah.
but then after Ricky Williams got a second lifetime ban and still came back and played football again, that's when I gave up on the NFL altogether.
Is
Ricky
he the one
Williams.
that bites people?
No, he's the one who was smoking pot back when that was a bad thing.
Oh yeah. And see, I've never understood that with football anyway, because it's not like pot is a performance enhancing drug.
It just makes it more fun to play with, I imagine.
It's a mellowing thing. It's
When
like
they go down, their arms are real loose and they fly around.
right,
And
right. But you
it's
don't
more
want
fun.
football players smoking dope, man. It's just like, I see you.
I think it'd
You
be
know?
more fun if they had the special tournaments where everyone is on drugs.
That's what I was going to say. Can you imagine
That
if
would be funny, right?
we're all 22? They're like, and it's still 0-0 because they're laughing and throwing grass at each other.
Here comes the ref with ding dongs. Woohoo!
Oh, the man with Doritos just got tackled.
They need to have like a drone spraying things on them and release dogs at one point. And
And then be
There are a
like,
variety of
there were no dogs. What are you talking about?
there are a variety of ways you could make it more interesting.
oh yeah.
So with the release of your book next week,
Oh, look at
next
Ro.
Friday, October 4th, segue. Professionally. What are you working on next?
After the release of Song of Bones, I'm going to dive headfirst into two things. I've already started writing the next Garden Maze book, and then I'm going to start editing the next Song of Bones book, and I'm probably going to do them both around the same time. Garden Maze requires pure writing. The next Song of Bones is written, but it's probably a mess right now. And there are probably certain plot threads that I cut in the first book that need to be continue to be cut in the next book. I need to decide when the next book actually ends, how far it goes. I need to decide if I want to keep it roughly the same length so it looks good on a shelf.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of editing and probably a bit of rewriting. I know there's one. The beginning needs a little adjustment to make it feel like the beginning of a book and not just the next chapter. And then there's one scene in the middle that gave me trouble for a solid year that I finally figured out as I was editing this book. I'm like, that's how you fix that. So I'm excited to jump into that and just tear it apart brick by brick and get that thing working. So I'm hoping that this time next year, the next installment of Song of Bones called The Darkest Forest is available for everyone. Hopefully by this time, but I want to get it released beginning of summer, hopefully.
You are like the fourth person in the last week and a half who has come on here and said that you have multiple books finished that are just waiting at various points of editing or whatever to be released. And I
Yeah.
do not understand that. That's
Well-
maybe because you're 30, that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I guess when you get well north of that, you kind of start going, oh no, I've got to do this now before I fucking die.
Yes. The big issue with me is I started writing this way too young. I should not have started this first. So a lot of this full of just stupid stuff that younger me thought was cool or felt fancy to write. So I need to just rewrite a bunch of it, cut out a lot of it. Some of it's okay. Like I remember I rewrote one scene. Tim read it, and he said, "This scene sucks. What was this part?" I said, "Well, I guess I can go back to what I wrote 3 years ago," and I showed him that. He's like, "Oh, this is way better." So some of the old stuff is really good still. So I need to just figure out what stays and what goes.
Well, that's easier than writing it.
No, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. It's so hard. So now that I kind of know how to do a book now. So so Song of Bones, the 3 books that are going to be that story is really just one book. It was that first book outlined. And the next book after this one, now that I know, Tim, that's basically what you said. That's basically what happened.
When you take the Canadian interpreter, put it through that to American, that's what it comes out.
What did I miss here?
He was right. It was very good advice.
Tim said the chapter sucked because Tim's Canadian, so he didn't actually say that.
Well, it wasn't the whole chapter. It was one bit of it. It was probably like 15th of a chapter. He said this felt off. This didn't feel like it fit. So I went back to an older version, and it worked. I think it worked. Tim thought it worked. I need more Tims to read it and find out if it works. I need an army
maybe
of
you could get your army of Tims and their sex bots and
have all the sex box read it and get their.
You're good.
Yeah. We read this YA thing for children. Of course.
We were all children once.
Once upon a time.
So, do you say Garden Maze is for children?
Yeah. Everything I write, I think, is for ages 12 and up. I have some stories that might be more appropriate 15 and up. I don't really write anything that would be considered offensive or overly violent. There's
Why not?
one. It's just not what attracts me. I want to write the stuff that I would have wanted to have read as a child. That's
fair.
the kind of project that attracts me. I have one idea that I'm not ready to write yet that is kind of a response to Stephen King's It. And I know that I'm not wise enough to write it yet. So when I'm 50 or 60, I think I can write it. I know I can't write it right now. When I'm closer, when I have more life experience and I have actual years under my belt, I can go back to that idea again. And even that, I'm not sure how. I don't know. I'll ask 50-year-old me.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news to you.
Tell me, let me have it.
But just because you have experience under your belt, and by the way, your belt at that point has expanded beyond your ability to see over it, it doesn't necessarily mean you know anything more than you know right now.
Yeah, that's the fear. That's the fear. But I hope that if I write 4 more of these, I'll at least be a little bit smarter.
So,
I hope.
You'll be smarter from having done that, not from getting older.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you write your 4 Song of Bones books and you put them all back to back on the shelf, will that be thicker than Tim's book?
What I've already written is I want to say it's thicker than Tim's book. I wrote an embarrassing amount of Song of Bones. It is I won't tell you the number because it's an irresponsible number.
Oh, come on, you got to tell us now. You can't say irresponsible and then not tell us.
I know.
It was dumb. Once you get to a certain number of words and you're still not, I'm not sure where this is going yet. You get.
Is it more than 500,000?
Yes.
Holy shit, dude! Wow. Okay.
So
Song of Bones, I think, is 67,000.
So you've already written like the next 8.
Yeah, it's just more work for me because I got to go through all of that and edit it. It's just going to be so much harder to do, and I don't want to start over. I've written this book 3 times.
Only 3? That's nothing.
Only 3. I'm happy I didn't do it anymore.
In all seriousness, going back to something that Mike said earlier, where he said, for your next one, have it about the same length.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
I have almost never been happier buying a book than I was when I bought the 4th Harry Potter book and it was freaking 3 inches thick.
Yeah.
It's like, this is great. I get more of this, So.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned with so I have a story. I have this part of it out for people to read, and I have all this left, and I want to make sure that I leave enough at the end so the last book isn't really tiny.
Oh, right.
And then I don't want to like extend it like artificially so it looks good on the shelf. So I need to find the right cut and I'd like to get it close to the middle as I can and still have it work narratively.
If it's too short, you could do a book version of a blooper reel and take some of that multiple hundreds, thousands of extra words that you have lying around and kind of tell people this is almost what this was, and kind of put in some of that just to fill up that extra space.
A lot of that will appear.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Mike, let's take his Squire character into the Bald Dome.
We want to go to the Bald Dome?
From the maze, from the garden maze.
Okay, how far are you into the garden maze?
Me, not far enough.
Okay.
But that's okay because fun story. I'd read what was it? Robot and Earth, which was Isaac Asimov's like the final book in his we combined the robots in the Foundation series. And I read it, and then my younger brother's reading it. He's like, "Is this book any good?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great until the end when so-and-so dies." And he took the book and he threw it at me, and he started cussing and swinging wildly. And to this day, he's never read the book because I ruined the ending for him. And so ever since the last 35 years, if he's read a book that I'm reading, he'll like tell me the ending just to get even.
Oh, man.
And I laugh at him. I'm like, I read fantasy. I know how it ends. I'm not reading it for the ending. I'm reading because I enjoy the story. So you can ruin this. I don't care. It will not bother me one bit. You can tell me how it ends, and I can probably guess roughly. But
while Mike's finding all his dice that he's going to pretend to roll, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Yeah.
This one right here. So this was the first book that I read at I was probably 12 when I read this. It made me understand that a book could be magical. This is probably also why I am writing about animals as well, and why I also was attracted to Redwall. So this is a story. It's written by Carter Crocker. He's best known for writing for Disney all those Winnie the Pooh cartoons.
Oh, awesome.
For TV, not the real Winnie the Pooh, the TV Winnie the Pooh. So he wrote a story that is probably this showed me that a book can be magical. Then Princess Bride showed me that there's something called perfection, and it can be achieved. And then Last Unicorn showed me that there is a land beyond perfection, and only fools reach for it, unless you're Peter S. Beagle.
Nice. That's an interesting group too. I don't think we've ever had anybody come in and mention those books in particular. So
they're great. Nobody knows about The Tale of Swamp Rat. It's just a little book for middle grade, basically. I mean, it's not very big. It's probably a little shorter than Garden Maze, actually. But it does so much so well.
Nice.
It is above and beyond what it needs to be for that age group.
Okay, are you ready to enter the garden maze with your squire?
Is it the garden maze? Am I going into the garden maze?
No, actually, no, I lied. Are you ready to go into the Bald Dome? Sorry,
Yes, Let's
Okay.
go.
So the rules of your world hold here. So, magic or whatever. So your squire has been transported to a sunken city beneath the waves.
A sunken city beneath the waves?
Yes.
Okay.
He has what's your favorite color?
Green.
He has a green fizzy potion.
Okay.
Doesn't know what it is. Now, do you want him to have a regular item to use, or do you want him to have an actual weapon? And that'll depend on if he fights a regular animal or a fantasy creature.
I think the squire would want a weapon, but I would probably not give him one. He'd probably have a normal item.
Okay, so he has a 2-person saw.
That's perfect.
Instead of a poleaxe, he gets a 2-person saw.
And that's great for his character because he needs to find someone to help him do it, and he's not good at that.
And he does not have to fight a horde of 10 relentless zombies.
Oh, that'd be great.
But instead, he has to face a silverback gorilla.
Okay, so read the Garden Mage. You can find out what happens almost exactly with those situations. So he's fighting a silverback gorilla. So he has a 2-handed saw, and he's got the fizzy potion.
Yes.
So the fizzy potion, he could either throw it or drink it himself, right?
Correct.
Okay. So where is he? He's a sunken city beneath the waves?
Yes, but apparently there's like a dome or something, so there's air they can breathe.
Okay, so it's Atlantis situation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say he's confused. He's walking along. He's got his saw probably dragging behind him, making a lot of noise, and he has his little fizzy potion that I guess he found somewhere. When he sees the silverback,
yes,
I'm gonna say he startles, drops the potion. Now it's all over his shoes.
Okay, so he has given himself fire resistance in this underwater city. Very helpful.
That's great. Yeah, and he does know that, right?
No, he does not.
Okay. So, what part? So, is he like in like an abandoned market in the undersea city? Is he like in a courtyard or?
It's your story, but let's go with the abandoned market. I like that.
Okay, so it's kind of dusty. There's kind of moldy food there. Silverback sees him. Silverback is startled. Silverback don't like him.
You know what? The silverback was actually a merchant.
Oh, he is. He's a merchant. So he's got a little apron on?
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay. Silverback turns over. He's like, "What you doing here, boy?" And the squire, he doesn't know how to respond to that. He says, "I'm lost." And let's see, what does the silverback want? The silverback wants to sell something. So silverback, he grabs like a bucket of like rotten apples. And he says, "Want some of this? Hey, 10 solari for a bucket of apples. Freshest apples in the city. I'm not lying. They're the freshest apples in the city." The squire's kind of backing away. The gorilla's getting closer with his bucket. And I think the squire, once his back hits like a stall and the gorilla's still coming, I think he swings the saw at him.
Okay.
And give me a roll to see how that goes.
17.
17. He smacks that gorilla across the face. I think he gets him in the eye a little bit and gets a really good scar across the face, like good scratches that'll look good later. So a year later, when the gorilla comes back, you see the scars on the face, and they go, "Oh, it's serious." Yeah, the gorilla, he throws the apples. He's hollering and screaming, and the squire runs. And I think that's the encounter. They would meet again later, I imagine.
Well, that's what you're going to write after the Song of Bones, right?
Yeah, it'll go to undersea. Now that does fit New Orleans. That's almost something that could happen in a future Garden Maze story.
Okay. So footnote Bald&Balding if you write that.
I will. Yes.
Just use it as an Easter egg that the silverback gorilla merchant will have a 2-handed saw behind him in his stall,
Okay.
just as like a little memento,
That might actually work in the next story.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Hey, Isaac, man, I have got to break out of here. I gotta go have dinner with my daughter.
That's
But
important.
thank you very much for showing up. I will leave you in Mike's capable hands. To all the Tims and everybody else out there tonight, thank you very much. Mike, when are we back?
Oh, sure. Put me in. We are back Saturday at 1 p.m.
Saturday.
Helen Thwaite and D.H. McCormick. And
Nice.
don't ask me any questions about them because I don't know.
Where are they from?
England.
See, you do know, man. Don't sell yourself short. You're a tremendous slouch.
Actually,
All right.
Helen Thwaite used to write erotica, and now she's writing fantasy. And I don't know anything about
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Almost.
All right. Thanks, Isaac. Talk to y'all
See you
later.
later. Good talking to you.
So we don't want to go too long because the certain Tim has a very important meeting later tonight.
Very important. Very important.
And so once again, I will get no writing done tonight because I will be on watching YouTube. But that's okay. Let's see. So, are you going to write anything that doesn't take place in Norland?
Yes. Song of Bones does not take place in Norland.
It does not. Oh, I thought it was
not.
all same world. Okay.
Nope. Characters do cross over a little bit. I do not know of what you speak. Oh. You might want to check your email. You might have an important message waiting for you there. You might want to get on top of that.
You do not want to disappoint the Beard of Darkness.
No, he'll come after you like a winged creature. Yeah. So after the next Garden Maze and after Song of Bones has been mostly sorted out, I want to kind of revisit my sci-fi idea. So I definitely want to jump back into that.
So where's your sci-fi take place? Is it near future, space opera? What is it?
That is part of the mystery a little bit. So it depends on which sci-fi story I want to do first. I have two. I have a really fun one, and then I have a more serious, interesting one. So the fun one is about this guy. He is in charge of coming to a planet to ensure that there's nothing living on it. This is safe for mining. He's called to this one planet that's already being mined, and there's been a report that there might be something living there. So he's been called out to go check it out and make sure everything's good. And that one is more comedy than drama. And it has plenty of fun little twists and turns. The other idea, and that one's far future. That one's like cassette punk, alien kind of world, but a little bit more fun and sunny. The other one is more larger in scope. So the time period is ambiguous because the main character is taken and his memory is erased and he's sold. And so he's a human and he's the only human in the story. He doesn't remember where he's from. He doesn't know what Earth is. He just knows he was taken. And there's a whole group of other species and aliens who are in the same boat that don't know where they came from. And they kind of work with each other to try to find their home planet again. But that's impossible to do. So it's like a hopeless thing. So that's the basic idea for that story. And that's the one that I started before I jumped into Song of Bones that I wasn't quite sure how to tackle because that one was huge in scope, way bigger than what Song of Bones is. So I did Song of Bones because I thought that would be smaller, but it wasn't.
So not to scare you, but Haley Traveler, which I put out in July. Ask me how many times I wrote and rewrote that.
Oh, I bet you did it 5 or 7 times.
14 times.
14.
Yeah. So, but to be fair, I also never was going to be a writer. I'm very much an accidental writer because I just at age 46 decided I'm going to write a story. And I'd never, flexed that muscle. So the first 8, 9 times were just truly terrible. Like I finally realized I need to make this all the same tense. And that was not to like the 7th or so writing. So if reading that stuff would be like violating the Geneva Convention. So I can't share. But yeah, 14 times for the Haley Traveler. I do not write books that many times now.
Well, I'm hoping now that I know how story works a little bit better. When I go back to that idea, I won't have to write it so many times. Hopefully, I write it one time, have a big editing rewrite session, and then I'll be done. Hopefully, well, we'll see how it goes. That's like the best case, beautiful scenario.
So you're saying your sci-fi, you have one that's humorous.
Yes.
I have one I want to write, and I know who all the characters are. And since I'm not Lord Grimdark, I can't write it because I do need a plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no plot.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a single human on a space station, and there's 5 races. And the 5 races are going to be after the 5 dogs that I've had. And so the Grendels are after my first dog was Grendel, because they all had different personalities. So they're all going to be embodied in the races of the. And yes, so I have to have him with these 5 races of former dogs of mine. And I just do not have a plot. But I know all kinds of things that are going to happen because the Grendels always beat up the buddies. So that's going to be a thing in my book. I just don't know what they're doing, why they're together. But one day.
Yeah. For Song of Bones, it's much plot heavier than Garden Maze. Garden Maze, the story is propelled by just the characters.
Yeah.
I say, what does this guy want and what does he need? And then I either almost give him what he wants, or I say, you need to be this and not this, and they choose the wrong thing, and the story continues. So I don't know. I've had characters that I have several characters that don't have a story. I have them written up like, you're Jonah. You can wait here for a while. You don't have a story yet. I just this week I thought of another Norland story that would work great. It's disconnected from Garden Maze, but it's in the same world. I have the guy's character. I have what he does. I don't quite have a plot yet. I have an idea of a plot, but I just need to sit on it for another couple months.
Yeah, that's what I tell myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm working as I watch TV. I'm thinking about things. So yeah, I think about things a lot. I also watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'm thinking about my work, really.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So when we had your partner in crime, Mr. McKay, on here, or at some point when talking to him, he said that you two were thinking about starting your own YouTube channel. Is that going to be a thing?
Yeah, I'd be totally down. I think if we were to do that, we would need some kind of gimmick. Because there are a lot of channels interviewing authors, and that's really fun to do. But if we were to jump into that kind of thing, I think we need some kind of little gimmick to really set ourselves apart and not try to eclipse any other channel.
Oh, I don't know that you need that. I mean, you just start talking. I mean, Ro and I, we gave so very little thought to it. I asked people at work, I was like, what should our channel be? And one person said Bald&Balding, and I laughed. And I'm like, Ro, we're going to be Bald&Balding. And he laughed, goes, that's awesome. I'm like, great. You want me to do it? He goes, oh, you're serious? And I'm like, well, we could do other things, but, are we going to take it seriously? No. So I'd say just do it, except, then you're going to be competing with us and you'll get better guests. So don't do it, but do it and have me on. I don't know. I'm conflicted.
Yeah, we'll have you on all the time. I love the thing you guys do with making the fantasy creature. I think that's really fun.
That was, yeah. Don't ask in front of my manager how much time I spent working on that. But yeah, that that was I was like, I want to do this. We'll see what happens. I don't know if anything is ever going to get done with the creatures. I want to almost print them out, or maybe have a slideshow before we show, hey, these are the previous ones.
It'd be cool if you had some kind of little guidebook. Like you have some kind of a journal that you found, some guy, some naturalist went to some other world and you happen to find it. And now it's this journal full of his notes and drawings of these creatures. And
I almost want to have a map, and then I'll just put each creature, it lives here in the desert, the Sandboni Desert, lives here in this desert, and that overpowered thing that Tim Tim McKay and his friends made that, guards a portal to hell.
It lives everywhere else.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have serious questions. We're going to ask a serious question.
Asking me some serious stuff, man. Let's get real serious.
Let's see. What do we want here? What is the hardest part about producing a fantasy book for you?
The hardest part for me is probably knowing, now fantasy in particular is probably creating and sticking to the rules of the world and not just keep coming up with new ones. Garden Maze, or not Garden Maze, Song of Bones really ran away from me in the beginning, especially when it first started, because I had idea after idea after idea. So I have the tendency to dump everything into a story, where less is more works way better. So Garden Maze was an exercise in less is more, and I think I succeeded. So I want that to be a common theme moving forward with my fantasy, where if there is a castle and the castle has a name and a legend and all that stuff and all the history or whatever, I'll know all that stuff. But if the reader doesn't need to know, I may not tell the reader. But if the reader can listen to the conversation in the castle and listen to other people talk about it, you could probably infer a lot of the history of the castle. I want to do it more that way.
Yep. Yeah, you always get tempted, like, but this is such a cool idea. It doesn't matter for the story, but I gotta tell them.
Yeah. And even some things were very important to the story, but they were just you were juggling too many things.
Oh, I have got smarter now when I have these. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to reveal this nugget here, and I'm going to work it so that later on in a conversation I can, share, I'm like, I can't info dump, which I desperately want to do, and I wish we could info dump. I would read a whole info dump chapter and be happy. But I'm like, okay, fine. So instead, I'm just going to give you a little bit here, a little bit there, and hopefully you remember and you connect the dots. And if you don't, well, okay.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm worried about. I'm worried about readers remembering all these different things, because I'm not the only fantasy writer they're reading. They're reading Sanderson. They're reading Tim McKay. They're reading Stephen King. They're reading, all these other indie authors.
All the big names, yep.
All the big names, and I'm just Isaac Anderson. So if I write my epic with all this complicated, convoluted things that they need to remember, I may not be the only person they're reading. And unless my stuff is like crazy good, I don't think I can ask that of them reasonably. So for me, less is more, because I'm a small fish in a big pond,
And the other thing is that they probably won't read your next book for like a year after the fact, and how much are they going to remember?
Yeah. I wrote a really, really fun catch up for the first part of the Garden Maze. It is 7 sentences long. Nice. But it catches up to the story, and it still feels like it's written in the world of the Garden Maze. It's not just like, this is what happened, very dry. It's like, it feels like it's part of the story. It feels like a storybook. So I really like that.
So how long is your back cover?
How long is my back
cover? I mean, your blurb, how long is it? Is it like walls? Okay. Because I probably shouldn't tell people, they'll make fun of me, but I judge people by their back cover. And if they have, like squashed 8 paragraphs on there in size 1.5 font, yeah. I'm like, no, no, I'm not reading your book. I'm just not. I'm like, my rule of thumb is I try to keep mine to 70 words or less.
That's good.
I'm like, that's it. That's all you need. Anything. I mean, I'm not trying to give away the whole plot. And then this happens. And so yeah, if they can do that, I'm like, okay, I will read your book.
I'm torn between, because I don't mind if I spoil the book a little bit, because I am one choice out of a million. So if they can get a little bit of a twist in the back cover, I think that's good. Thankfully, all the things I spoil happen in like chapter 1. So and I hope it's fun. I hope people like it. I guess I'll find out.
Oh, Tim, that does not surprise me that yours is double mine. Um,
I'm not sure how many words this is.
it's under 100, easy. But
Garden Maze is really, really tiny.
oh wow, that is spectacular. So, I mean, I wish I could get it to like one sentence, but have
Yeah,
not written anything.
I'd like to get to the point where I have a group of readers that actually trust me. Like I want to launch a book with just an interesting title, cool cover, and like one sentence on the back and say, I want to surprise you. I want to delight you. Just trust me and come with me.
The one thing that has never meant anything to me is when you get blurbs from people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, who cares if Tim McKay likes this? Does that mean I'm going to like it? Have no idea. So, I mean, I've never understood blurbs, and I've never been. I mean, there's people like, I want to get this person to blurb my book, or reviewers who say they'd live to be a blurb on someone's back cover, and I'm like, zero interest.
Yeah.
So I don't care what they write. I don't care I've never asked, which is probably good, because who knows who would say yes. But yeah. Let's see. So you said Song of Bones is in a different world from Garden Maze,
Yes.
but Norland is Garden Maze, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's going to have multiple locations with different characters and different stories.
That's the plan.
And where is Song of Bones?
Song of Bones is in a place called bye, Tim. Have fun. Song of Bones is in a place called the Middle Kingdom.
Okay.
And it has its own fantasy rules that I don't actually get into in the first book. I hint at it a little bit. You get hints that there's something a little bit odd about this world. And in the second book and the third book, it really comes to head like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. Garden Maze is obviously fantasy, but every single story in the Garden Maze world, I want to be around this size. Maybe a little. The next one might be a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like this to be my one book a year series.
Yep. Oh, so you have these two series, and you have your two space books that one day you will write.
Yes, and I'm not sure which one I'll do, because I don't want to have too many, unless they're both visually and distinctly very different. I'm worried that if I write something too similar in the same kind of genre, they'll feel too alike. The characters will feel too samey,
Yeah.
I was one author that I used to love as a kid until I realized that all of his books have the same main character. Even though they're different backgrounds, different names, different situations, they're all the same guy.
Right.
He never really wrote anything new. He had different plots and different ideas, but it's the same main character every single time. So I want to make sure that each of my characters feel and sound different. Like I have rules when I write Garden Maze stories that this is how this kind of book sounds. This is how the writing is. And Song of Bones sounds like this. So if you pick one up, I want each one to have a different feel, even down to how it's written, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Bill Adams was talking about that, because he wrote the Tenacious Tales of Tana the Tender Sword, which is middle grade, and then
I've seen that around. That looks really cute.
And then he wrote, I forget his other book, I can't remember now, but it was very much an adult book, and he's like, yeah, I want them to be very different. So yeah, that I suffer from all the main characters are a version of me, and I'm trying to get away from that.
All of the characters are me in Song of Bones and Garden Maze. They're all me to a certain point. The knight is me, the squire is me, Richard is me, Bryce is me.
I mean, it kind of you have to understand your character, so I mean, it kind of has to be part of you.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I would like to write a character I'm like, I don't understand, but I think they would do this next, but I don't know. So
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Sometimes it works really good. Like Richard will just do something in Song of Bones. Like I can put him in any situation. I know exactly what he's going to do. Well, I don't really know. He knows, and he just does it.
yeah,
And I think that's partly why my first draft was so big. Is I just let these characters do whatever. You know, I didn't rein anything in, saying no, this can't happen. It has to be like this. Because you need, even though they're alive and breathing, you need to treat them like, you know, employees. You got to
yep,
do this.
yep.
This is the quota.
I used to outline my books, like every chapter, like, okay, these are the beats I'm going to hit. This is what's going to happen. And then I'd start writing, and my characters would be like, no, I would never do that. And so now, I mean, my outline is very sparse because I'm like, okay, these are just the 5 things I want to hit as I tell my story, and then we'll worry about how we get from A to B to C to D.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes changing their name helps. If you change their name, it kind of changes their personality a little bit, at least to me.
Interesting. I haven't tried that, but yeah. So, well, I don't want to rush you off, but I need to let you go so we can all go and see Tim tonight.
Yep.
So I'm going to let you. Thanks everybody for stopping by.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
See you all on Beard of Darkness here in like 15 minutes.
And be sure to buy A Song of Bones when it's available on October 4th. And right now you can get The Garden Maze wherever fine Amazon books are sold on Amazon.
And you should be able to read The Garden Maze at least 3 or 4 times before The Song of Bones comes out.
At least.
Yeah. I mean, I read 25% last night, so,
There you go.
I'll probably be finished by the weekend. Yay.
It gets crazy.
I'm down for crazy. So, cool. Well, thank you, Isaac. Enjoyed talking to you, and good luck with your book.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you later, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay. Time to wave awkwardly.